Hey, welcome to New Jump City, everybody, where we recap the week in American and Japanese sequential art. I am your host, Christian, the unbiased king, Espinal. And joining me through Discord, it is the man, the myth, the legend. It is the tank top sage. It's Joshua Gangsta Time Cole.
It's called Partner, but it should be called Gangsta Time.
What's good, Chris? What up, everybody listening?
Oh, yeah. Also joining us, it is our producer, Edgelord, Big News Brian.
What's up, nerds?
Hey, we are back for a new show. Very excited to get into it. We got One Piece, we got the finale of My Hero Academia, Jujutsu Kaisen, Kagurabachi, Undead Unluck. But first, we do have plugs. You can find me at the Chris Espinal on Twitter and Instagram. Joshua Cole, where can they find you?
At JD Cole_37. That's on Instagram. And New Jump City Josh. That's on X and TikTok.
Oh yeah, Brian.
You can find me at b.esp on both Instagram and Twitter, even though I deleted Twitter. And if you want to catch me when I'm streaming, you can find me at twitch.tv/itpunchline.
Hell yeah. You can follow the show itself at New Jump City on Twitter and Instagram, and also TikTok. Hit us up on any of those. You can email the show at newjumpcitypod@gmail.com with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about. And we will talk about it on the pre-show chat show that we do every week. We are out of questions, so if you guys want to send us some questions, some comments, stuff that you want us to discuss, we would love to read it on the pre-show chat show. That's it for that. Subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts, the YouTube. That would be super duper appreciated. Like, share, subscribe, all that stuff. Like it, review it. Let the algorithm know we exist. And that's it. No more lollygagging. We got a big old show ahead of us. So let's get into the show. One Piece. This is One Piece chapter 1122. Time is right. No cover story from Yamato today, but we do have a heartfelt tribute to Horikoshi from Oda. For those of you who don't know, this cover art of Smoker is entitled "Redraw the Artwork of Smoker, a boy from the Aichi Prefecture, submitted 22 years ago." That boy was Horikoshi Kohei. So
What? That's so cool.
oh, you didn't know that?
Yeah.
No, I didn't.
Yeah, 22 years ago in during the Alabasta saga, I believe, actually. A young Horikoshi submitted a fan art of Smoker to Oda. Years later,
That's so cool.
Years later, when My Hero Academia first came out, Oda shouted him out. He was like, "Oh my God, that's that kid!" In one of the volumes, he was like, "Oh my God, that kid that sent this picture to me is now in the magazine with me." So this is a little tribute that he's giving to Horikoshi, redrawing the Smoker drawing that he sent him all those years ago. I don't know if you noticed, Brian, the little sign, the little word says Hero Academia.
Dude, that's so cool. Oh my God, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Dude, such a small world.
Right? They say never meet your heroes unless it's Oda. Then meet your heroes. Please meet your heroes. Anyway.
And also Deku.
And
also Deku.
Well, yes. If you have the chance to somehow meet Deku, meet Deku. So last week in One Piece, lots of stuff was happening. Vegapunk is concluding his speech to the world, saying that, it's coming to a time where someone's going to discover the One Piece and the world will never be the same after that. And it all depends on who finds it. We got a bunch of panels of the main players in the final conflict to come, as we are very close to having the Straw Hats escape. The chapter actually opens with reactions to what Vegapunk just said all over the world. We see civilians going for it. We see civilians getting pirates getting excited. People in Impel Down are even getting excited now. The Marines are hating big time.
Crazy.
They are hating. The Impel Down prisoners are not prisoners, but the COs, the correctional officers there, are just like, why are you playing this message for them? And so they say that the transponder snails in the prison activated all on their own. I think that was Bon Clay, actually. I would figure that Bon Clay was responsible for such a thing.
Yeah, it was probably Bon Clay.
Because he's still there. So the Marines are hating. Kobe is on his hospital bed after getting rescued in the pirate island. He says that he has to stop Luffy's dream from being realized. Buggy further galvanizes his subordinates, saying, "The world is mine. You idiots, who said I wanted such a thing?" And they were like, "Chairman Buggy, what?" He said, "The world is ours, right?" And everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's Chairman Buggy!" Everybody's moved to tears that he's including them, just making it about them as well. Buggy, surprisingly good leader. Who would have thunk? But Crocodile and Hawkeye are sitting right behind him, and Crocodile orders him to sit, and Buggy's like, "Yes, sir." So he goes and does that. We get a little snippet of...
They're really mean.
Yeah, they are. We get a little snippet of Katarina with wet-haired Caribou, and she's talking to Blackbeard, and she's asking him what to do about this whole situation. Blackbeard's like, "Bring him to me. If we don't like what he says, if his stuff doesn't blow us away, we'll blow him away." So, maybe we'll see Caribou again. Maybe we won't. We'll have to see. Fucking Vegapunk is about to say something else. He says, "That is simply the truth. Joy Boy is Zert, and the giant and the transponder snail inside of it is taken out for good. Message over for sure."
Wow.
What was that?
I was upset.
Yeah, they keep
Can't
interrupting.
believe it's just about to say it.
Yeah.
Why couldn't he have just told us the ending now?
Yeah. He lollygagged too much. He made it all lofty. He made a big old speech where he didn't have to. But yeah, the transponder snail is gone. The Iron Giant has part of a huge chunk of its side just blown off. Nostro is pursuing the Straw Hat, the Thousand Sunny. Zoro's about to react. Everybody's panicking. We get more of Emmett, saying that, apologizing to Joy Boy. Luffy is still around. He's still there. And Emmett continues on saying that he wants to apologize. Deep down, he knew that you couldn't still be alive. But he tells Luffy that he looks a lot like him. And it brings back so many warm feelings that he had that day. And he says, "I'm sorry, Joy Boy. Sorry that I couldn't make you king." That's interesting. Luffy's like, "King?" And Emmett asks Luffy what his name is. Luffy says that, "I'm Monkey D. Luffy, and I'm the man who will be king of the pirates." And immediately, Emmett's like, "D, all right." And he pulls this. Cool. He pulls this thing in his chest, a little knot, and the knot becomes undone. And all of a sudden, this wave of hockey just bursts out of him, knocking out all the sailors, the regular grunts, and the Marines. And all the meanwhile, he's saying, "Hey, Luffy, thank you for letting me hear that old familiar rhythm. Don't die, okay? I won't let you die. The hockey just surges through everybody, knocking out a whole bunch of people. The hockey is so strong even that it reverts all of the five elders down into their human forms and forces them to retreat.
Oh, see?
So three out of the five elders return. Jupiter, not Jupiter. Mercury is not Mercury. Mars is already there. He's back home. He got Team Rocketed, and he's like, "Fuck this! I'm going home."
He's like, by the time I get back, everything will be over.
Yeah, I might as well go
I'm
home.
just gonna go home.
He's pissed.
He's like, fuck this.
Emu
Is
is
the tall guy the
Oh.
worm?
the tall guy is the worm. We even get Emu reacting to this. Whoever they are, they feel the hockey all the way where they are, and all they could think is Joy Boy while they're shivering.
They scream.
Yeah, they scream in agony almost. They're like, ah!
We're finally going to be able to hear the voice in animation and anime too. So
No, that's a good point, Brian. Anyway, back near Egghead, the Thousand Sunny lands safely. Everybody notices that the five elders are gone. I think Nami is about to explain to Luffy about Atlas and Edison sacrificing themselves. We see that Saturn is still on the island, and he approaches Emmett. And Emmett starts to have a memory. We see a little flashback from Emmett's perspective, where we see a man in a straw hat explaining not only when it's time. He says that he's tied a knot of the greatest hockey inside his body and locked it in there. So nuts. So he's like, you're going to keep on living long after I'm dead. There will come a day where I can't help you anymore. So when your life is in danger or someone else is in danger whom you want to protect, that's when the right time is to untie the knot. So, Emmett's like, when the time comes, you'll save me. He's like, that's right. I'll save you all the way from the past, just like I always do. And Emmett's like, I'm glad. Thank you. It's like you're here with me even after you're dead. And he's like, hey, we're talking about the long future right now. Don't use it immediately, basically. So, he's like, hey, a long time. I hope I don't get lonely. And that's where the chapter ends. As I think Emmett's eyes are blacked out. He may be dead now. I will withhold the Mario death sound for that. But obviously the guy in the shadows talking to Emmett way back was obviously Joy Boy. And we are done with this chapter. Wow. Josh, what did you think about One Piece chapter 1122?
This is an incredible chapter.
Oh,
That's where
yeah.
I'll start. What wasn't incredible is that Saturn's still alive.
Yeah.
I said a lot of things about him being dead,
You think he heard you?
and no, I just think that I was naive and hopeful, but that's life. Anyway, I got soft spoiled. That's what I'm gonna call it, like, for this chapter, because I was scrolling on Facebook the other day randomly, and I seen a video of like the One Piece anime, and it was when Nami was, I guess, in Weatheria, and they were showing her the slip knots. Like, he pulled the first one, it was a slight breeze. The second one was like a strong wind. And then he pulled the third one, it was like a storm wind. It knocked her over and shit. Like, so I guess they was explaining, like, you could store a whole bunch of power in it. And I just thought, oh yeah, that's cool. I forgot about that. and for some reason I looked into the comments to see what what other people had to say about them. And then somebody was like, "Oh, Joy Boy, tied a like not like something about putting his hockey, like Joy Boy's hockey is gonna be like is like crazy, something like that." They mentioned his hockey in the video about the Slipknots. I don't remember exactly how it was put, but I didn't put two and two together. So as soon as they cut to that flashback, I was like, oh shit, okay. Like I'm glad I didn't decide to dig deeper. Well, I would have been having to put some caskets for myself in the group chat. But nonetheless, thought it was epic how it wasn't just the robot like self-destructing per se. Like it wasn't a big ass explosion. It was like an explosion of incredible, Conqueror's hockey from Joy Boy himself. And I mean, shit. I think, is this the first time we actually seen Joy Boy like talk to somebody, or like,
I think so.
It's from what I remember.
I think it is. I think it's the very first time he's spoken. And this is like the first time we've seen his visage in a real flashback.
Yeah, people are like saying, "Oh, he looks like he has a wooden leg and an amputated arm," but it's like it's a silhouette. We don't know, guys. Chill.
We do also see both his arms.
Yeah, but they're saying it's like a wooden arm and a
one looks little.
leg.
Well, there's no way you could tell that. He's all black right now. He's purposefully inked out.
That's what the streets are saying. Don't blame me for what the streets are saying. Okay.
Well, I'm telling the streets. I'm not telling you, Brain.
Yeah, you tell the streets.
I'm not putting much stock into that. So yeah, pretty nice trend of events. I thought it was interesting that Saturn didn't get set back. Or all right, rather, like that was my first line of thinking, like, Saturn didn't get sent back, and then I realized they got transported back on the like. That's what it seemed like, So, I wonder what happened there. Did he force them to retreat via teleportation? Did he force Saturn to make them all retreat, and he stood there? I don't know. It's kind of hard to explain, but pretty trippy. But this was a significant chapter, and then the Straw Hat crew getting clean away from the conflict. I'm really looking forward to the next arc. I'm ready. We got all this exposition. I'm hyped up for what One Piece has left to offer, and I'm thinking forward, man. Elders could kick rocks and hold that L like crazy. They lost to the Straw Hats. They failed to completely kill Einstein.
Vegapunk.
Talking about
Vegapunk.
Yeah, same shit.
He is modeled after Einstein. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, in Jordan. But anyway, they failed to control Kuma. Ultimately, they failed. They failed to get that message out. I mean, to stop the message from getting out to the rest of the world. L's, fucking L's for all of them. They suck, except for my dude Mars.
Mars is the only one you like.
Yeah, because he was the terror. He was getting shit done. The other guys were just running around damaging shit. He was getting to the point. You know what I mean? He was trying to figure out, where he thought the Snail was at and do some real. I think he's the leader of the group. The most intimidating one aside from him is definitely the horse sword guy.
Nostro.
But Zoro could definitely beat him 1-on-1. That's without
definitely,
a doubt. There's
obviously.
no doubt in my
For
mind
sure.
that Zoro will win this fight right now with no new abilities right this second. Hard diff.
High diff.
High diff. Yeah. High diff. So, yeah. Those are my thoughts. Runner up for the RGC.
Mm. Brian, what do you think?
MHMM. Yeah.
I don't have much to say aside from the fact that we're learning more about what hockey can do. It looks like you could create object. It's either you can imbue objects with hockey or you can create objects with hockey.
I think he imbued it.
He imbued
Like
that
a hockey
knot with-
Susanoo?
No,
Yeah, that's
not
what
a
it
hockey Susanoo, actually.
I just wanted to say that.
But if it's the case that he created
A hockey
that
man?
knot with hockey,
You mean a fighter who relies on hockey?
that's probably what Joy Boy is. He's
Yeah.
probably the hockey man, the original OG hockey.
That
man.
is just a cope by people with agendas.
I love these drops.
hockey man.
What he say?
But-
What is he gonna use?
A hockey man?
Susanoo
You mean a
or
fighter who relies on hockey?
Yeah, he said, "What is he going to use a hockey Susanoo?"
Susanoo. Oh, he said something else too.
I don't know if you saw the Josh that I don't know if you saw like the Eustace Kid versus Shanks fight in the anime, Josh, but
Yeah.
if he did do Shanks did use his hockey Susanoo, and I think obviously it's not canon, but I think the person who was animating it was fully aware of the meme and just used it to make his really dope scene. Was it Vincent who animated that scene? I don't know. Anyway, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off.
But yeah, if
Sorry.
it is true that that just theoretically, if you could create objects out of pure hockey, then what if Mihawk made his sword out of hockey?
I don't think you can make things out of hockey, specifically because Mihawk said that he constantly has hockey on his sword. Like, so it's not a sword made out of hockey. It's a black blade because he imbues a regular sword with hockey. He taught that to Zoro a while ago. He said that if you're really good at hockey, you can make a black blade just like mine. I don't think you can conjure things. I think he really did just like imbue a large amount of hockey within that rope. And to Josh may reminded me of the ropes of Witheria, which I forgot about that. And I think that's
The other one he said was hockey domain expansion.
Oh yeah, he said a hockey domain expansion.
he said to Susanoo, is it perhaps a hockey domain expansion? oh man, pricks.
Yeah.
But still,
Sorry, I
that
didn't
is
mean
the
to cut you
strongest
off.
display of hockey we've seen so far, and it's literally just from a fucking knot. So
It's a hockey bomb.
I wonder why he chose a knot specifically, but
Yeah,
maybe that has some significance.
I think it definitely
some
might be
cultural
connected to the Witheria ropes, like Josh mentioned. I forgot all about that
Yeah.
because they can contain wind within. Like, I don't know if they contain the wind, but they control wind with knots.
But yeah, those are all my thoughts. Joy Boy is the hockey goat, the hockey man.
Yeah, he's
and Shanks is just a poser.
Joy Boy. He's
A
the
hockey man? You mean a fighter who relies on hockey?
A hockey man? You mean a hockey man?
Yeah.
What are your
I
thoughts, Chris?
love this chapter.
Is it your RGC though?
Man, that's what's tough about this. I don't know if it is.
as he ponders Christian.
I'll
things
talk
to
about it
himself.
and see where I'm at the end of my my breakdown. But I really liked it. The 2-page spreads here were really cool. Like that one 2-page spread with all the elders closing in on the ship and Emmett was really cool. The interesting things that Emmett was saying, sorry that I couldn't make you king. There was no king of the pirates back then. Joy Boy was the first one.
Maybe it's king of the world. What if this is what Blackbeard really is the one that Joy Boy was waiting for?
Yeah, I mean, what if there's like some weird Game of Thrones thing happening with the world government throne back then?
Oh shit.
But then again, that throne is a symbol, like symbolically. But we don't know that for sure. We don't know what that actually signifies because Emu obviously sits on it. So
there wasn't a king of pirates before Goldie Roger, right?
no, Goldie Roger would be the first, as far as we know. He would be the first king, and that was like kind of a title
And
that
Joy Boy was the first pirate.
I think that was like a title that probably the Navy bestowed on him, as like just to let people know that he is dangerous. He's the worst criminal. That's basically saying this is the worst criminal in the world.
Which is wild. Because I'm pretty sure there are worse people out there than Roger.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you know, we've already seen that they've constantly been lying on Roger. So
Throwing dirt on my boy's name.
yeah. So
Who's been lying on Roger?
the world government,
They capping that.
they were capping. We've seen enough of that.
Hey, yo, all you citizens in the East Blue, the Marines are capping, guys. Listen up. Open your fucking eyes.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the knots are about. Mainly because Josh blew my mind with the Witheria thing. I have to think that that's kind of connected.
I
Josh is
can't
the
believe
goat.
that you didn't remember that.
I didn't remember it. It only shows up once in the entire series. When they're
So
demonstrating.
do a lot of other things that you remember.
It's
I
true.
like how Josh remembers with area, but you can't remember anybody.
I just seen it
Like-
in a video.
No, I remember with Daria. I mean, that one stands out because
you remember-
it's a cool name.
You remember the rope specifically. I
Mm.
remember Witheria and I remember the old men, but I didn't. It's not maybe
know
that
what?
I didn't forget them. I just didn't like connect the dot between the hockey knot and the Witheria knot.
I guess it's the same concept, right? That's the point.
Yeah, that you could store power in a knot somehow, some way.
But yeah, that's interesting.
The stuff about the king, I don't know what king that Emmett would be trying to help make Joy Boy of. The world.
King of the Pirates.
Pirates? I mean, he was the first one, so I think kind of by default he would be. And you know, I think you become king of the pirates when you find the One Piece. And the
No,
One Piece
I
in
bet
that
there was way better basketball players after the first basketball player.
Well, I'm saying that like
Yeah,
The-
Joy Boy's washed. He was just a plumber.
the
Damn. I ain't
criteria
say all of that.
the criteria is just like you find the One Piece, you're the king of the pirates. But in Joy Boy's time, whatever the One Piece was, still like existed and was like knowledge. It was a
Knowledge.
you know
Oh,
like
yeah,
you
he
know what
knew
I
where
mean?
The plug was at.
Like it was not hidden. It wasn't a
His
thing.
brain was-
It was a thing that was hidden away. Possibly the nation that, you know, of advanced technology and all that stuff. Whatever that nation is.
And where they have the drain. Remember what we talked
Where we
about?
have the drain. Yeah, my theory of the drain.
Well, who works on drains?
Plumbers.
Plumbers! He's a
Plumbers.
plumber!
Oh,
Joy Boy is a plumber! I'm telling you, he's a
man.
fucking plumber!
Wash?
I'm telling you, he's a
Oh,
fucking
no.
plumber.
What?
He cannot stand up to motherfuckers who are out there sailing the seas, grinding piracy all fucking day,
Yeah.
like Michael Jordan and LeBron James. I mean, like Roger and Luffy.
Who's Joy Boy in this analogy?
The plumber.
Bill
I'm
Russell.
saying Bill Russell. Damn.
I'm kidding.
Damn.
He
Bro.
violated.
Bill Russell wasn't a plumber, but he was playing against plumbers. Let's be real.
Yo, chill. I don't like the Celtics that much either, but damn.
Well,
If you really think about it,
I don't agree with that.
there goes
100%,
the
but-
Boston. There goes the
I
Boston.
was memeing.
Say what?
I was memeing.
You were memeing?
I'll say. Yeah. I don't
Um,
think Joy. I think Joy Boyce was the truth.
Yeah. So, more intrigue. We actually got to see him talk for the first time and meet, talk to Emmett and stuff. Joy Boy's not a giant, it seems.
Maybe he is.
He could be,
Because the Iron Giant's way taller than the Giants.
but he's small. He's like tiny.
Compared to the Iron Giant.
Compared to the Giants, Emmett's not that much bigger, right?
Saul is a giant, right?
Oh wow, they are. They are kind of small compared. If you look at that 2-page spread, if
Yeah.
you want to you see Broggy, he looks really small scaled.
Yeah, with the axe.
Yeah.
Look in the
Wow.
previous chapters too.
Wow, he's so much bigger than them. Even from far away, you know what I mean?
Which also scales how fucking huge these elders are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Except for the nose.
What knows?
Nostro.
Oh, Nostro, yeah. Yeah, I guess Nostro
But
is the
that's my
smallest
new
one.
nickname for him. The nose.
The nose.
Yeah.
Okay, so he still may be a giant. Given how he kind of dwarfs the Giants already.
yeah, I guess he is pretty big for even giants. No
So-
Diddy.
So it's possible. But he's just so much smaller though, you know what I mean? I don't know, maybe he's not a giant.
I wonder if the worm is a personification of Sean Holmes,
Sean who?
which is Diddy.
The Diddy worm?
He just consumes all.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's Shia-Lude. Maybe he's
Yeah, I
Shia-Lude
like
from,
Shia Lude a lot better.
Maybe he's Shia-Lude from Dune. I think that's what he's supposed to be. Big dumb earthworm.
Yeah, but with like human teeth.
He does have gross human
Look at those
teeth.
pearly whites, man.
Perfectly straight.
I
too.
mean, shit, they're better than mine. Yeah.
This guy's got veneers.
And damn, probably. Yeah,
He's
you
got
think
giant worm
yeah, they're really
veneers.
old.
Good for
lame.
him, though.
Just own it.
We see right through you,
Own,
Peter.
own having gums. I'm still so mad that Saturn's not dead, but whatever.
Yeah, he made it on land somehow.
I'm telling you, these guys don't drown. They don't have a weakness to water.
I think he landed there
Landed where? On the water?
on the land. You could see him in the 2-page spread. He just is on land.
Oh, so they saved him, huh?
What? Brian, can you swim?
Me?
Yeah.
I can like float.
So if you used to have a devil fruit, would it really make any difference as far as gaining
not
that
really.
weakness?
Not really. I'm like a giant, so I just stand in the water. I'll be like San Juan Wolf.
Yeah, Brian is a whole 6'3"
He's my
or
favorite
something.
character in One Piece.
San Juan Wolf.
San Juan.
Yeah. I
That's
mean,
good
if
choice.
y'all can name a better introduction than he had, then I'll
Where he just was
Fucking
peeking
sweet.
behind Marineford. He was like, "Oh, they see me."
yeah. Yeah, he was there the whole time watching the whole conflict.
Yeah.
Or maybe picking his nose. I don't know. But he was there.
He could have been
That's
doing
the point.
both.
Mhm.
Yeah. But those were all my thoughts. I thought this was a great chapter. I guess it's not my RGC. I don't feel it in my heart. But really good one. Really solid chapter. I would say this is my second place. I really liked it. But are we ready to move on to the next one?
Yes, sir.
Alrighty, let's get going.
Bitches get shot. It get heavy. Gra.
My Hero Academia. This is My Hero Academia, chapter 430. My Hero Academia. This is it, guys. Final chapter. We get color pages of all of the Class A characters. You know, Midoriya has his hair grown out again, and he has a scar underneath his eye. His hands are all fucked up. That's our guy. We open with a reprise of Midoriya's initial monologue to start the series. People are not born equal. We each take shape differently, which leads us to care about others. It's because one's body and mind are so unlike anybody else's that we're drawn to others in search of common ground. This was the truth about society that I learned at age 17. And we see we're at UA. There's a staff room, and Midoriya is writing this monologue in this staff room or something. Oh, I don't think he's writing it. I think he's actually writing like a comic book. Oh, I think he is writing.
Yeah, maybe.
I didn't even
I
notice.
see a picture of someone running.
Yeah. At first I was thinking, is he just like taking notes on people's quirks again? I don't know. But anyway. We see that kid, from that camp arc. I forget his name right now, but But the water kid from way back, the first kid that Midoriya ever saved. Brian, could you look up his name? I don't know. I don't remember.
He's the water boy, right?
Yeah.
Water hose.
Water Hose is the son of Water Hose.
Adam Sandler.
No, that's Water Boy, Josh.
Yeah.
No, it would.
My hero.
Plays for the Gators. I mean, for the Mud Dogs.
Wait, what?
Kota.
Coda.
Defensive
I knew it was
end for
something
the-
simpler.
Oh, never mind.
He became a hero. Let's go.
Well, he's in class now. He's in My Hero Academia.
He might become a hero.
He
or
might,
He might
if he-
flunk out of hero class and had to work at McDonald's.
True.
Put the fries in the bag, Water Boy.
Oh, yeah.
Like
Hey, Brian
loves
fries,
McDonald's.
water boy.
Hey, fast food workers provide a essential role to society, and I mean that with utmost sincerity.
I do
'cause
too.
I love a lot of different spots. Thank you guys. But if we're sticking to memes,
We speak in memes here. Anyway, we get a bit of monologue from Deku's perspective over a ton of panels, indicating the time passing by since the battle against Shigaraki. Basically, he says that there's no denying on that day I felt everyone's support, hopes, and prayers. Even now, those voices encourage me. If sparing a thought for someone else is the first step toward hero-dom, then on that day, everyone was a great hero. He said he was hardly cut out for the dream he held, but it came true anyway. And the tale that began when my body took action before I could think comes to an end, along with the ember for one for all. And he says, in that case, why am I still writing this? Because there are more pages yet to come. And we get a bunch of scenes. We see Deku coming home one day. We see Gran Torino recovering, alongside All Might. The kids taking tests. Mirko getting a new robot arm, or 2 new robot arms, because she's lost both of them at this point.
yeah.
I believe the sports festival came back at some point. We see Mount Lady and Kamui Woods doing some stuff. Shoji and the animal guy are getting recognition for their efforts in fighting the lizard man, I imagine, or I guess in their works with heteromorphs in general, because everybody in the crowd seems to be a heteromorph. We see that I believe Eri was hanging out with Koda and the Pussycats, Hawks and Tokoyami. We see Aizawa and President Mike at the grave of what I can assume is Shirakumo. Endeavor is with his sidekick group. Although I don't know who this person in black is. I guess that's another sidekick, but for a second I was like, is that supposed to be this guy? What's his face? Dobby, but he's supposed to die at some point, so
Yeah.
We see that the League of Villains book was published by Spinner. I don't know who this person is reading the book.
Maybe it's just a villain,
Maybe.
a dastardly villain.
Dastardly. And I imagine the last things we see here is the graduation ceremony for the 1A kids. It seems that Ida is giving a commencement speech. And now we turn the page, and it is 8 years later. We're getting a similar scene as to the first chapter again, with everybody talking about what they want to do after high school, after junior high, and everybody wants to go to UA for the hero course as per usual. But there is one person who's like all about support items because of Hatsume. So good for her.
Ooh.
I don't know who this person is. I guess like she's
It's the chicken doctor.
Hmm?
Look, it's the chicken doctor.
I know the chicken doctor. I think this person is just like one of the characters in the classroom.
Yeah, it's
talking
one of
about
the
how
students.
she wants to be a doctor, just like Chicken Man, which is nice. I never thought we'd get more recognition from him. And there's one person who wants to join Gel Inc., who is which seems to be Gentle Criminal and La Brava's company, who I guess specialize in cyber attacks. And this new kid named Dai wants to be a hero as well. Very similar to Deku, looking kind of weak, not looking very impressive there. He has these little dots on his hair. And people are like discouraging him, but not because they don't think he could be a hero, but because things are going so well that the amount of pro heroes are needed has decreased. So being a hero is kind of like not the most secure career track anymore.
Only the most elite.
Yeah, only the
Make it
most
now.
elite are there.
Such a small.
Yeah. So after school, this kid is walking home, and he's like, everyone's really changed. There was like a time where every last one of us was like nuts about All Might and Endeavor and Best Genius and Deku and Explosion God, Great Explosion Murder God Dynamite and Shoto, and that they wanted to be them. But now, people aren't really aspiring for the same things anymore. They're, the days are a little more peaceful. And he stops at All Might's old statue, and we get a flashback. I believe I remember this kid, actually, now that this flashback came in, who was staring at the All Might statue. And we cut over to an adult Shoji, who is getting some recognition for getting an Imamura Peace Prize for his work in standing up for the heteromorph community, which to this day suffers from some injustice and all that stuff in rural areas, but he's working at it. And Anima is there as well. That's how I remember him. I believe the glue guy from Class 1B is also there. So, Shoji's still hard at work trying to make the world a better place for heteromorphs. Next up in team up news, we see that Ingenium, Froppy, Creati, and Uravity have been touring elementary schools. There have been a decline in villain emergence rate because of their they're spearheading the quirk counseling thing. So, just to help people who may have difficult quirks, or, villain-esque quirks to, I guess, mold into society, which is very interesting. We cut to Aizawa, who has a lot shorter hair now. And he comes over to Midoriya, and he shows that Bakugo is still his abrasive self. And because of that, he's dropped down a couple notches in the Billboard chart, because he's yelling at everybody. And we see that Todoroki is looking to be the top hero at some point. He's in line. He's getting there. And they say that people are looking at him less and less as Endeavor's son and more as his own man, just as he's always wanted to be. We see that Togata is at the top of the chart right now. He is the number one hero, it seems, surpassing Kamui Woods and Mount Lady. But at the same time, Monoma and I believe
Togata?
Lemillion.
Oh.
But it's not just him. Monoma and Haonanuki, who was the Mudman, I believe, are also shooting up the charts and going to become number one heroes at some point. They're coming for that number one spot. And Aizawa asks Deku if he misses it. And he was thinking about how, like, when you and Fu were chatting all those years ago, the thought occurred to me that I might be quirkless, but as long as I made use of my experience to encourage others, well, there's something kind of awesome about that. So Brian's gone. Well, he'll be back.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's saying, I mean, like, do I miss it? Sure, but I feel like I've used my powers to the abilities, and I'm to the fullest, and I made use of my experiences to encourage others. So, I feel satisfied. And Aizawa tells him to be stricter with his students, and that he's telling him it matters. These days, the type of kids who make it here to learn from us are basically given the golden ticket to future heroes. We have to be tough, keep them humble, so they don't get big heads. So I think I understand, I guess, what he's saying, because, because there's so few hero slots, that it's an easier path to just fame and fortune. So it's just like about keeping people's heads on steady and why they're doing this. But I don't know. Who knows? So yeah, Deku is coming home from work, I imagine, and he's talking about how ever since, everybody started working professionally as heroes, there have been less time for them to meet up together. We actually see a cool statue that has been made of Class 1A in the city. And yeah, he passes by. We see, I guess, Tokoyami is being is like on some ad or something. We see that Kirishima is popular with the male demographic, and he's famous now. And he's like, I'm really happy that everybody's doing well. And when I get to thinking about our time in school, I tend to come here. He arrives at the statue where the All Might statue, where these kids are playing. One of them trips, and Deku, because his body moves faster than his mind, dives over to save the kid. And in the next page, we see that Dai from earlier has also dove into the fray to try and rescue this kid.
Nay.
And he's like, "Whoa." The kid gets up. He's like, "That's a close call. Thanks, mister." And Dai gets up and he realizes that it's fucking Deku in front of him, and he's like, "Oh my god, you really exist! Holy cow!" And we cut over to after, I guess, Dai explains the situation, and Midoriya's like, "Wow, you're almost in high school." And Dai says that the times are changing and in big ways, so someone like me can't keep up anymore since I've got a super wimpy quirk compared to my classmates. So that's why I visit the All Might statue and ask him. And he says, if I can be a hero like all of you did. And Deku, obviously, this hits a little spot with Deku because he had a extremely similar experience. And he immediately goes into quirk analysis mode, where he's like, oh, those saucer-like objects from your hair, your quirk allows you to throw those, right? You could do a bunch of stuff with it. It's like Mineta, you can stack them, boosted strength, and maybe even change their size. It seems quite versatile. But then he says, you'll be fine. After all, didn't you make an effort to reach out with a helping hand just now? Over a narration where Deku also says, ever since my own dream came true, it's been my turn to plant dreams in others. And we get a full page spread of Midoriya putting his hands on this kid's shoulders before a statue of All Might, as well as the civilians around. And they say, you can be a hero. And Dai gets inspired by this. It makes him really happy because, someone like Deku told him that he could be a hero. And he tells Dai to do his best. And, oh, welcome back, Brian.
Hello?
Hey, you're back.
Yes.
I was just about to close this off. We see Deku is arriving at UA while narrating that he'd be lying if he didn't miss it at all. But as long as he can still inspire and encourage others, then I'd say this is still the tale of how we became great heroes. And we get a little panel that says, My Hero Academia, the end, but there's a little hand creeping in, and it's All Might. He grabs the end and crushes it in his hand. And he says, you're late, kid, and he's old now. All Might's an old man. And he says, I would have met you at the airport if I'd known. And Midoriya's like, oh my God, I would have met you in the airport if I'd known. But All Might is like, whoa. I've got a surprise for you. And he says that the data from the battle between him and All For One 8 years ago apparently opened up all sorts of exciting possibilities. So, he went overseas, and some friends of his from overseas, along with Hatsume, came up with a suit similar to, obviously, the one that All Might had during his fight. And Midoriya's like, whoa. And All Might says, don't try to hide it. Your body still has a way of leaping into action, right? Take this to heart, kid. You've also earned this power fair and square. And Deku starts to tear up, and he's happy. We learned that this also was funded by Bakugo, as well as some Class A folks. But Bakugo was the main guy. And we get a little panel of Bakugo saying, come on, Deku. And the chapter ends with Hawks getting a call in that traffic's all backed up because of a landslide on Warstar Road and requesting heroes who can respond. We see Deku catches a glimpse of the ghost of a Shigaraki, and we end in a 2-page spread with Deku in his new suit joining the rest of the heroes of Class A in their adult redesigns. Saying this is the tale we'll keep reaching to help of how we'll keep reaching out to help for all time. And that is how My Hero Academia ends. Josh, what did you think about My Hero Academia chapter 430?
Well, I'll give you guys my thoughts about the chapter. Let's see where else that goes. I thought this was a fitting end for what the story is. And there was a point made by Horikoshi to address specific issues that had been consistently brought up within the series. The inequality of how hetero remorse are treated, how people with really dangerous quirks are left to be considered like criminals or or you are abandoned because of how scared their families are, or because they won't lend a helping hand with that. And then there's also the general over reliance on heroes. So sorry guys. These points were wrapped up in Horikoshi's own way. We seen with you guys are gonna really need to help me with the names.
Bless you.
Bless you.
With the guy that was getting the medal. What's his name? Tentacle.
Shoji?
Right? Yeah. So he's devoted his efforts toward finding peaceful resolution to conflicts surrounding discrimination based on body type, which is still a concern in rural areas 8 years later. Oh, I get it. Things take time, but there is a what seems to be like societal based effort, like a general consciousness towards watching how people used to treat each other in that regard. This is my personal favorite with Uraka traveling around the different schools and giving like speeches, quirk support and counseling so that they can they could prevent psychopaths from being born, from being created, and these horrible villains, to try to like cut clean up these breeding grounds for that. And yeah, so I appreciated that was addressed. I'm not surprised that Deku ended up being a teacher. I called it last chapter, but I thought it was pretty obvious. So I don't really feel like too like hype about that, but I thought it made a lot of sense and I liked it. If he wasn't gonna have powers, right? He's the perfect example of how else the layman, so to speak, the everyday citizen, the non-hero, what they can do to contribute to society and really matter in a productive and helpful way. Which is why I kind of felt like it was like super poetic in a way of exactly how we got an ending to the series, which, Deku for 8 years had to, reconcile with the fact that he wouldn't be a hero and that, what else he can do to find meaning in his life, that'll help him like, keep moving forward. And he did. He found something that can inspire others and make him feel like he's full of meaning. And I don't know, it's almost as if that's kind of like washed away completely. Like, oh, well, we gave you something to get your powers back. Go be a hero. And that's, in a way, that's really cool. It's really dope because, that's what I feel like My Hero Academia is about, is like this cool factor, this kind of spectacle of, of both shonen and American comic like elements. And it's when I think about the entire series in retrospective, that I feel like that has been very consistent. It's well documented on this podcast that I've had a lot of issues with the series in the later I would say in like the second half, like the final handful of arcs. And it all stemmed from me thinking, wanting the series to be a certain kind of way, thinking that it was going to be one of these forever series, like a One Piece, or like how Naruto like felt. But in reality, it's been around for 10 years, 430 chapters. Naruto has a whole lot of chapters, but not as much as like One Piece. Matter of fact, I'll go look right now.
Naruto has
I
700
think it's like
chapters.
what in the 700s.
Naruto
Huh?
has exactly 700 chapters.
Yeah, so not so like all right, granted that's 200 and change more than 270 more chapters than My Hero, but even then Naruto did end eventually. So I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with someone wanting to wrap a series up. But my issue specifically stemmed to the fact that I seen a certain type of potential in this series in the beginning. And I always try to think about at what point did I start feeling like it was lost? And it's so weird because like narratively speaking, and we can say it started right after the villain academia arc, because that's when things just started like right after it they got into a whole war, and then that led to another war, and we started I felt like they started rushing Deku's abilities, and all these other like developments were being skipped, etc. um but I'm sorry, I kind of lost my train of thought here, but let me just focus back to what I'm trying to say anyway, which is that like I I didn't really waver at that time. I started to waver earlier, and that was around the overall arc. But you know what? I had to think about the fact that the series was around for 10 years, right? And I'm I'm 31 years old. I'm about to be 32 next month. So this series came out when I was 22 years old. And I maybe started reading it, let's say 3 or 4 years in to be let's say for argument's sake. So I was 26 when I started reading this series. I am such a different man than I am right now than I was at 26. I have learned and experienced so many different things. Um, I'm gonna tell you this: one of the biggest experiences in that time was during the pandemic, during COVID. I believe in that time I was really radicalized politically, and not as far as wanting to like understand like why like the country is where it's at, why can't things be better. I really started to dig more and find certain communities that had information that I agree with and made sense, etc. So that I don't know, like I almost feel like I really grew up more than any time. Like I really transitioned into adult like the last 3 years of my life. All those significant things have happened. But anyway, without droning on, the point is like I had a certain attitude about life and what I thought was good and bad and what was necessary to be done for things to be better. And I always, whatever stories I read, unless they're like purely in a fantasy world that could not relate to us in any way, shape, or form, most of these stories relate to like life. So, I always try to make those connections. And I think the way I thought My Hero Academia was gonna be, I guess as I got older, I don't think My Hero Academia started dropping the ball or really changing. I think that I just changed and what I expected out of the things that I read and enjoyed, and I've always felt like I've been introspective and thought a lot about the media, but I just have a different lens now as I've gotten older and grown. So, when I see this story, it didn't turn into what I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be something so much more deeper and complex. But for what I believe it was trying to do, it it was just fine. And I'm sure if I read it again, I would really enjoy this series. But I still think there are certain flaws that like are hard to reconcile with, which is like, there could have been a lot more development for certain aspects of this story that would have made this a much better a story, in my opinion, and work of art, or to have a stronger message, because they we didn't really get to experience all of these issues. We just got to really hear by word of mouth, you know what I'm saying, that shit was bad. Which is, I get it. I'm not like, I'm not saying that makes like the story bad or something like that. Like it, but like that wasn't really the focus. The focus is about the fighting, the spectacle of it, and like these kids, kind of growing up. But like it's hard to be so critical because I don't really have much to like go off of to really criticize like on the points they wanted to make. All I could say is that I wish we had more. And like it'll for I'll always think about, maybe like My Hero Academia could have been so much better, but I don't have a grudge. Yeah, I mean shit. I could go on. I could say a lot more. I think maybe another time we could kind of give this more like a more formal send off or something like that on a pre-show. But those are the thoughts I could give right now. Brian, what are your thoughts on the final chapter and I guess the series?
Well, it's no secret that My Hero Academia was one of my favorite series for a long time, actually. Just the concept of the series is like a story, like a plot to a story that I've been like, you know, really fond of for a long time. For like since middle school, I've always loved the idea of like a world of like super powered people. You know what I mean? So My Hero Academia, I was naturally drawn to it, and the idea of like quirks and like the society that functions around superpowers. And I feel like My Hero Academia, like the first half of the series was everything I fucking wanted from that concept. You know what I mean? It was just so fucking good. Like it had that optimism, it had that creativity, it had that interesting like cast of characters, and all of them interacted with each other so well, and all of them had some agency in the story. And but the thing, I feel like it ended up being more like Naruto, where those side characters kind of fell by the wayside as the series went on, and the focus was more drawn onto like the main characters like Todoroki, Deku, and Bakugo, and Shigaraki, and all those guys, right? Um, so
Yeah.
honestly, like you can't really fault My Hero Academia for going down that path without also faulting like a series like Naruto or Bleach or stuff like that. You know what I mean? That's just par for the course when it comes to these manga, and it's very rare for a series to keep up. Like especially if like a mangaka wants to finish the story within a reasonable time, like it's gonna be extremely hard to do all that within a specific amount of time, right? Because Horikoshi strikes me as a mangaka that wants to tell a story but doesn't want to tell it forever, you know. And I bet it could get, especially with the workload that mangaka have already, it's probably not very like an enticing offer for them to be stuck on, well, not stuck on, but working on a project for that long of a time period. So like naturally you have to like to return to like a life of more normalcy, you're gonna have to cut a little bit of stuff out, right? So I get that on like a human level, and it is disappointing that the series didn't end as like perfectly as we wanted to, or maybe not as perfect as Horikoshi wanted to. But it's a sign of the times, you know. Like sometimes you just gotta to like tell the best story. You have to stop. You have to choose where the where to stop. So I still think My Hero Academia is one of my favorites. Because there's some aspects of it that just never fell off, you know, like My Hero Academia's art is still like elite among all or among most manga, you know, weeklies especially. It's just an incredible like spectacle whenever you open a chapter and stuff. Like you could tell that even though the like, you know, things aren't as developed when it comes to the story, you could still see the passion every week when it came to Horikoshi. And you could see the care and attention that he puts into it. So I think My Hero Academia still stands the best, like the test of time, and it will always be a series that people can just pick up and read again, just because of how amazingly drawn and how dedicated Horikoshi was to it. So that's what I think about My Hero Academia. Probably one of the all-time greats when it comes to its art and its beginning of a story, you know? Like I genuinely think the first half of My Hero Academia is as close to perfect as it gets when it comes to how it tells a story. And I think it accomplished its task at the end. It's always been an optimistic series about overcoming odds and not doing stuff by yourself, no matter how powerful you are, you know? So that's My Hero Academia to me. And I'm very grateful to Horikoshi for making this story for us. Those are all my thoughts on My Hero Academia. I will miss it.
Well said.
Did you like the chapter?
I did like the chapter. It was nice to see like all the upgraded versions of everybody's costumes and their age, and they're aged up. I wish we could have seen Ida's face. We only got to see him in the helmet. It was really cool to see everybody grown up and stuff. Deku's still a short king 8 years later. But yeah, I really like that. I hope that I'm thinking that there's probably going to be a continuation like through the movies, because I know My Hero Academia has a lot of like movies lined up. So maybe they might pick up from here in like those kind of stories. That's my thinking on it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like this chapter a lot. I think, you know, it's as fitting as an end for My Hero Academia as we're liable to get. Yeah, it just makes sense. You know, I mean, this whole series, we really like measure it on the scale of more series that are like world building and more geared towards their supporting cast. And that was like one of our main complaints throughout the story, because, you know, Horikoshi would set things up and not really expound upon them until later. But I feel like, you know, he's kind of grappling with writing a long form series and also wanting to write a more straightforward plot in terms of focusing on Deku, because he is the main character. It is literally his Hero Academia that we're supposed to be following more than anything. So, you know, I want to give them a little Horikoshi a little grace on that, because I think what's really interesting about the structure of My Hero Academia is that it literally follows the hero's journey plot structure, and I think that was not by coincidence. You know, we have the call to adventure. You know, he gets recruited by All Might to be the next holder of One for All. Supernatural aid is that not One for All. There's the Threshold Guardians. You know, there's a helper, a mentor in All Might and in Gran Torino and all those stuff. There's challenges and temptations. There's the Abyss, which is the death and rebirth of the cycle. You know, the Dirty Deku era.
Which I think is a pretty good arc.
I love that arc. I just, you know, it's my biggest criticism of the Dirty Deku arc is that, like, it's not longer. But, you know, you could say that about any point of My Hero Academia's time. Um, there's the transformation. We have, obviously like Deku mastering all of the all for one for alls, going after Shigaraki and all that stuff. The atonement, the losing of one for all, and the return. He's back to where he started, basically quirkless. A teacher, but still quirkless. He doesn't have his powers. The journey is over, and he's back to the world that he came from. And I think that was a very intentional choice. I couldn't tell you for sure, but I definitely feel like that was the roadmap that he was following when he was writing this. So
Really interesting.
yeah, there's a whole book on this structure. It's like one of the foundational like writing books there are. But yeah, I really appreciated that when I realized that about like a few chapters, like as soon as I heard that at some point all for one for all is not going to be around, I was like, oh, okay, so that's how the series ends. He's going to end quirkless. He's going to be back to where he was, which is the return era of like the hero's journey, which I thought was pretty cool. I don't want to talk too much about the art because we've talked to death about how fucking good it was. So, honestly, it's so good. It's one of the series I collect to this day simply because I want the physical art in my house. There's certain series I collect because I was just like, I want the physical art. Ice Shield 21 is another one for me, but
Anything drawn by Murata is
is
gold.
It's goated. But yeah, I have every volume of My Hero Academia, so obviously it means a lot to me, and I intend to continue collecting it until there are no more volumes. Yeah, I started reading this in college. That's when it first came into the Shonen Jump Alpha magazine, when Jump first started putting digital chapters out in a magazine format. And I remember I was in college. It was the very first chapter they published was the horse battle when they were in the sports festival. I forget what it's called.
Yeah.
The chariot horse or whatever the hell it's called. And I remember like working hard to catch up to that moment. So when Shonen Jump drops it, I could read it. So that was like a really cool moment. I remember it became super popular. Especially when the anime came out. Like My Hero Academia is it still is hugely popular, but I remember it's weird to think about a time when My Hero Academia was basically like dominant,
Yeah, I remember when I first heard about it, and it was people were literally saying it's next up.
Mm-hmm. And it was,
that was me.
Yeah, I mean, we all said it. We all said it at the same time. My Hero Academia had such a great first half of and I don't even want to say like the latter half was bad. It's not bad at all. Even I would say it's just like
the first half was so fucking good.
Yeah, yeah, and we've made like little theories about like the making of the series and all that stuff, and I don't want to give too much credence to that because that's all hearsay anyway. It's just like me guessing, and through context clues, through things that Horikoshi has said about realizing that the series is going a lot longer than he intended it to. And I'm wondering what that was about. I wonder what pushed him to do it. It could be, sometimes when creators start work and they think they're gonna be on it for a short time, some things develop in different ways, work schedules, stuff like that ends up becoming a lot longer than you intend. And I think that's what happened with Horikoshi, is that the story took on a life of its own almost to him. But yeah, I felt
Say what you want. Say what you want, but you could always find something to talk about from every chapter of My Hero Academia.
I mean, there were times where it was whenever we would talk about it it would be the bulk of the show. This is a series that has been with us since the very beginning. I hesitate to say it's the first series to end from this lineup because I don't remember what we were covering. Oh, like naturally end, not canceled.
Didn't we? Where like for Undead Unluck to get in, something had to end, right?
Something did have to end for Undead Unluck to get in.
Forget.
I also forget. What were we talking about back then? you know. Yeah, I'm not gonna look back, but you know,
Let me see.
yeah, but neither here nor there. It was a really long series. We've been talking about it since episode 1. When this show started, we were smack dab in the middle of the My Villain Academia arc. So if you want to feel old, that was like 5 years ago. At this point, we started in 2019.
Oh, Promise Neverland.
Promise Neverland ended. That's why.
And also, I think Food Wars.
Yeah, we were talking about
during our
Food Wars.
run.
Were we talking? We
Um,
were talking about Food Wars back then.
I think there was one more aside from Promise Neverland and Food Wars.
Oh well, we talked about Black Clover, but that's irregular now.
Yeah.
So, but that's neither here nor there. I'm just saying this was a long time. You know, we've been with this series for a long time, and honestly, I'm hoping for Horikoshi's long rest. Enjoy your fucking vacation, bro. He probably never has to work again, to be honest. And for a guy who's tried so many times to get into Jump, like this is, I think, his 3rd series. And this shit is hard work, you know, to like get in, to draw this stuff. It's a lot of time. It's a lot of patience dedicated. Shonen Jump demands a lot from you as an artist. So I really hope he gets his rest and he chills for a while. And maybe comes back someday with a new idea. I'll be waiting for it. But yeah, I guess I want to get my thoughts together. Maybe we will talk about it more in a pre-show. But I thought this chapter was really good for, you know, as far as endings go. It's pretty solid. Makes sense. I really liked the quirk counseling thing. I thought that was genuinely a problem in this society that got super addressed. You know, like there's more than one person in the League of Villains that have had their lives affected by their quirk. Whether it's perception or the fact that the quirk really fucked with their minds or the fact that the quirks destroyed their bodies. You know, with Dabi, Twice, and Toga.
Yeah, I hope Deku doesn't quit after getting that suit.
Yeah. And, you know, Deku coming back, I don't know if it washes away anything, but it does. I think it's like more of a reward for Deku that he gets to, after everything he sacrificed and everything he's given up, you know, he's got a massive scar on his face. His hands are fucked up. He could still continue his dream in a more minor way. And the weight of the world isn't on his shoulders while he's doing it, you know? He can pursue his dream in the most purest form. And
Yeah.
I feel like that's more of a reward. It's like a nice thing to do for Deku. And, you know, I don't think it really takes away from anything. It just kind of allows him to have his happy ending because everybody else is. And it kind of feels shitty that Deku almost didn't. And I love that it wasn't just, not only did All Might come back to give him this power, circular, you know, there's a lot of just like that circular narrative coming back around to where you started, but it was also everybody who he went to school with in the school that he wanted to get into the most. His best friend gave him this, or his like greatest rival, the kid who used to bully him, gave him this suit. Who, by the way, one thing I wanted to note before I forget, does Bakugo have like little rat tail ponytails?
Yeah, he does.
Oh my god, I was hoping.
I think it's because of what's his name? Because of Ed Shot.
It can't be rat. Oh, I hate that. There has to have been give yourself a headband, bro. Not the pigtail, not the rat tails. Not the double rat tails.
He's him. What can I say?
I don't like it. But yeah, nonetheless, I mean, I feel like My Hero Academia is a very competently written story. It's not like perfect. We've on multiple occasions talked about what its biggest flaw is, which is kind of a pacing issue. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be weird doing this show without it. The first long-standing pillar has fallen. We're in the final sagas of so many long-standing series.
It's like sending a child off to college.
Yeah.
Even though I don't have a child, I feel like this is what it would feel like.
Yeah, I also want to note that I do love how tidy a 10-year run and a 430 chapter run is. There's something about a good even number, 430, and a good solid 10-year run that really satisfied my OCD. So I hope Jujutsu Kaisen can do something similar. I hope it ends in like chapter 300 on the dot and no less, or 280 on the dot, no less. But this isn't a sad occasion. It's really a congratulations to Horikoshi. He made it. He made it to the end. He made a long-standing series that really resonated with a lot of people for a long time. So much so they drove him crazy. But I really love My Hero Academia. It's gonna be weird without it. But yeah, that's all I gotta say for now.
We're gonna miss you, My Hero Academia.
Yeah, it's gonna be weird. For the last time, that was My Hero Academia. We ready to move on to our next series?
Yeah.
Alrighty then, let's get going.
Oh, good.
Jujutsu Kaisen. This is Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 265, That Day. Last we left off with Jujutsu Kaisen, we had Itadori fighting Sukuna. Sukuna was able to stave off the Jacob's Ladder and prevent himself from being split off from Megumi, but Itadori was pretty much in hot pursuit, and they were fighting pretty intensely for a while now. But then the chapter ended with Itadori whipping out his domain expansion, and we saw that his domain seemed to be a train station where Sukuna was waiting in his Itadori-possessed form, and Itadori pulled up to him and said, "Let's go, Sukuna," and we assumed that he was dead. Because this is kind of how this happens. When people die, they wake up in different stations of transportation. And we open up with this chapter where it seems that Itadori is genuinely walking around this place with Sukuna. And Sukuna is just as confused as all of us. He's like, what the fuck is going on here? I mean, on rare occasions, dueling sorcerers bond with each other. But this is different. What is this? Is this your domain? And Itadori's like, I don't fucking know. This is the first time I've used it, and I used it in the middle of Mortal Kombat, basically. But he just tells Sukuna that he just wanted to talk, so to hear him out. And not to I guess in the efforts of not detailing it too much, we get an extended tour of where Itadori grew up, it seems. He takes Sukuna around to see the statue, the Oni Kenbai, this park that he used to go to, where he used to play and wash off his toys and wash off the slime in his toys. There's these flowers that he would always see. Yeah, he calls them morning glories, but Sukuna's like, those are hydrangea, dumbass.
Mm-hmm.
But Sukuna,
I was talking about him cleaning his slime off in the water.
Oh yeah,
because it went down the drain.
Yeah. Wait, the toy?
Stupid. The slime.
Oh, his toy slime. Oh wow. Um. Okay, so he's still going around. He has Sukuna capture fish for crayfish. Um. He shows them this department store where there was a movie theater that he used to go to. This bridge, where there's not a lot of color, but there's a lot of greenery. Um. He shows Sukuna these horses at this like ranch, this farm that he used to hang out with his grandpa with, where he also takes Sukuna to do archery, and Sukuna is very good at archery. Uh, he talks about the winters in this neighborhood, about how he used to shovel snow, and he used to love shoveling snow, and then he would go home and drink sweet tea milk. And how his grandfather always looked at him disgusted because his mouth would always get sticky from the tea, I guess. And he's talking about how like he heard these bells during Christmas, and it really made him feel like Santa was real. And at this point, Sukuna's like, okay, all right, enough of this. This fucking sucks. I can't take this shit anymore. Itadori is like, okay, that's pretty much everything I wanted to show you anyway. Talking like this gives me the creeps. And Sukuna is like, what are you trying to say? And Itadori says, over a bunch of different panels over people who have died in his life. It actually looks like, his grandfather. We see that kid Junpei, Nanami, Nobara,
Junpei.
Choso, and Gojo. And he talks about how he thought life was all about understanding your role and trying to fulfill it, and that if he had died doing that, then he would say that he had a good death. But now he doesn't agree with that anymore. He says that, just walking your dog and raising your family are also decent roles. And even if all you do is eat and poop or lie sick in bed or don't connect with anybody, instead of memories giving form to your life, small fragments of memory are out there floating anyway, floating around and giving your life value. And we then see Mahito, Sukuna, and the scissors, as he says that. So how someone dies doesn't matter, but I can't forgive someone who acts as if those lives are worthless. And that's why he hates Sukuna, because human beings aren't tools. They don't come into being with a predetermined role. Good guys, bad guys, I don't know which is truly human. And he says, maybe I'm the one who's wrong, but I just wanted to show you. I just wanted to show you the livelihood of the people you see as having no value. And Sukuna's like, yeah, I don't feel anything. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I don't care. Yeah, it don't stir up any emotion within him. Just like you, how I accepted this old dump of a town, I think, oh, so that's the case. But so what? And Itadori is just like, just as I expected. It's no use. Yeah, and he's like, I gotta say, I'm astounded how spineless you are. Are your anger and hatred towards me that really so piddling? And Sukuna realizes something. He's like, boy, could it be that you pity me? And Sukuna, he says, are you trying to be merciful? And Itadori gets this like dead in his eyes look where he's like, that's right, Sukuna. I can kill you. Free Fushiguro.
Right now.
I'll spare your life if you return to me. And fucking Sukuna gets tight. He's like, you're sorely mistaken. I'll tear you asunder, boy. Boy. Then they was like, and then before your severed head, I'll kill all the humans you prize so much. In a big panel where Sukuna is genuinely very upset that Itadori would even suggest that he could kill him.
Yeah.
And that's Jujutsu Kaisen chapter 265. Josh, what did you think about this chapter?
I thought this was the best chapter this week.
Yes, this was also my really good chapter of the week.
RGC.
Yeah!
Unified RGC. Unified RGC. Unified RGC.
Yeah. I like Itadori a lot as a character. Always have. I think he's one of like strongest one of the most endearing parts of Jujutsu Kaisen is how positive he is and how caring he is without it being like without him being preachy about it or nothing. He just kind of moves and he's like, look, this is what I think and this is what I'm gonna do, and no one's gonna tell me otherwise. But that's also not really true because he will allow people to tell him otherwise. So also allow his experiences to tell him otherwise. He's grown as a person. And this conversation was proof of that with Sukuna, the way he tried to reason with him. And I don't think he tried to reason with Sukuna out of a real hope that he could change him. I think he like Itadori stated, I think he just wanted Sukuna to know, like, look, like I mean this shit. Like I like you have your thoughts, but I'm telling you that I disagree with you and my thoughts are valid and this is what it is. So, before anything else happens, people fucking matter. And I agree with him. He's right. I think one of the most malicious forms of propaganda was making people feel that we had to earn our living. I don't like that phrase because it implies that you being alive in of itself, like you don't deserve to live without having some type of specific purpose in society. And it's just the fact that you're sentient and drawing breath and can feel empathy, that your life matters no matter what. No one can take that from you. We all matter in our own way, and we're all unique and special. Blah blah blah. I'm not gonna drone on. And I'm a sucker for that. But I thought this was executed well. Like Itadori, he's never been that deep of a character, and I never really felt like he had much, like a whole lot going on beneath the surface. But that was also part of the charm of his character. But this, like I said, like showed that he's put a lot of thought into what he's been through the last few years as a jujutsu sorcerer. This wasn't just about, he didn't just turn into this cold-blooded assassin that trivialized life because that's just how it is and he's going to do the best he can. He understands through all of this that this is truly a tragedy what their lives are because of how life is trivialized in their line of work by the cursed spirits and by other jujutsu sorcerers. So this was really well executed and I like the way Sukuna got upset. He has started taking Itadori more serious as a combatant because he kind of has to in this situation, but I think if he was fighting him one-on-one in a vacuum, right, Itadori wouldn't be anything special, not in this state. He might have been impressed how quickly he improved, but he improved through extraneous methods anyway, through a lot of assistance. So with all that said, like I just think that this moment was Itadori saying, no, I am a valid person, period, regardless of what values you're gonna try to impose on me. Like I don't care about that. Like, and then on top of that, I got the fucking drop on you. I caught you in this domain and I could kill you any moment. Come back into my body so we can die together. Yeah. Really like this chapter. I really, this could have been so cheesy. This could have been so cringe, guys. I could have caught such an attitude with this because he could have played super heavy on tropes. But I just felt like this little tour of was it Sendai?
I think so, yeah.
What's the name of it? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this is where that dude from Hajime no Ippo is, right?
Oh, really?
The tiger.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
No, wait, let me see. No, he's from Okinawa, if I remember right.
Oh, I don't know.
I'll check for
you. You know who I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, Sendo.
His rival that's like
Sendo.
Yeah, Sendo, yeah.
You're asking
he
if
is
Sendo's from
he's from
Sendai?
Naniwa. He is
I was
from.
wrong.
Oh no, stupid. I'm dumb. He's from Osaka. They call him the Naniwa tiger because I think like maybe the neighborhood he comes from is in Okinawa is in Naniwa, but he's from Okinawa.
I liked how Itadori was just talking about his life, which, you know, I'm sure you guys understand already, but like, again, like, just saying, he said something really nice, and I had to think about it for a little while, but then I realized I was probably just thinking too hard about it. He says, I'm sorry. He says, even if all you do is eat poop, lie sick in bed, or don't connect with anyone, leaving nothing behind, instead of memories giving form to your life, small fragments of memory are out there anyway, floating around and giving your life value. You see, to me, the way I make sense of that is that these floating these memories that are floating around are memories that live within the minds of others around the people you've impacted. So I thought that was just a really open-ended and, you know, I guess pretty way of saying that. But like I agree, like the people validate your existence. You know, like, you know, you're fine the way you are, just living, but life, you feel more complete when others acknowledge you. That's kind of part of who we are. So, well said. Nice writing. Sukuna is mad, and he caught a whack lobster. I seen that shit. Crawfish, whatever. Shit was whack. He got the American one. He's already got the Japanese one. Ryan, what were your thoughts?
I kind of felt like Itadori used this to kind of like bolster like his like vindication, or like to vindicate himself in what he's about to do to Sukuna. That's what I think. I think Sukuna, he still had some hope for Sukuna at the end of the day. And well, not hope for Sukuna, but he had hope for himself that he didn't have to become this person that had to kill Sukuna at the end of the day, or had to, you know, do something vile or stoop down to his level. And this was kind of him like solidifying who he is, and also like giving him an excuse, or like giving him himself the space to be a good person in the acts he's about to commit still, you know? But that was my take. That could be wrong. That could be a wrong take, but that's how I could see it too. Because you see that like the moment that, you know, Sukuna sticks to his guns and he sticks to who he is, that's Yuji's switch, where he's like, all right, I did the best that I could. Now I'm about to get on that shit. Now I'm about to be about that action. So this was really like a really good fucking chapter. I really love the way that they wrote that Gege both wrote Yuji and Sukuna in this scene, because it's like both of them are literally two sides of the same coin. And the way that they view each other are like opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to you know, malevolence and benevolence. You know what I mean? So it's pretty
epic duality.
Yeah, they have like a perfect duality. It's like one pities one because they don't see the value in life, and the other one pities the other because they see no value in their life. It's a really interesting concept, and I think Yuji is a very special protagonist for that because, like Josh said, he's not a very deep character, but at the same time, he is not shallow in the slightest. You know what I mean? And he has a lot of like unexpected complexities to his character for someone so simple, and it's really really fucking interesting to have that kind of style of writing.
The
But
conclusions he's coming to feels really organic.
yeah, it makes sense.
You know,
Like this entire story, the whole thing has been about Yuji, like his value in people and the people he cares about and how they leave him. And Sukuna only finds value in people who entertain him, and he's almost like objectifies the people that he fights or the people that he views as valuable. You know, like it's a very interesting duality. I really appreciate the series for that. But now I'm ready for some fucking crazy ass hands next chapter. This is going to be the craziest fucking chapter of Jujutsu Kaisen next chapter. I bet my bottom dollar at next chapter is going to be fucking absurdly awesome. But yeah, those are my thoughts. Fucking amazing shit.
Yeah. This is the first chapter where I was like, oh, is this about to end too? Because this vibe that Yuji's giving off, and if you remember Yuji's entire character arc, this story started out where Yuji is being prepared to die. You know, like his whole purpose is to die, and he understood that, and he took that as a calling that he is going to. This is the value that he's going to provide to the world by eating Sukuna's fingers and dying. But you know, his speech here at the end is like really a 180 of everything he's learned through the people who have died, and realizing, you know, that instead of pursuing a good death, it's more important to realize that your life, no matter how you live it, you know, say for hurting people, is valuable. You know, like there doesn't have to be some crazy thing you need to do to make your life worthy of any kind of acclaim or value. You just need to live, and you know, do your part, do like little be yourself, and that will naturally just impact the world in its own little way. There'll be a small ripple from what you leave behind, you know. And by seeing the people who have died in Yuji's life,
Be right back. I'm using the bathroom.
yeah, the people who have died, who have just kind of like changed Yuji's entire worldview. You know, the people who have shown whose lives have a lot of value to him, contrasted with Mahito and Sukuna, who don't value life and really just see people by the value of their strength, or you know, their cursed energy or their cursed technique. Is really poignant. You know, the idea is just to live and try to be happy doing so. You know, you don't need to be this big martyr in order to, you know, live a meaningful life. And I feel like that's something Yuji understood and just realized. And even though his mission is probably still to consume Sukuna and then die, he understands that he doesn't have to carry such a fucking massive burden of needing to his death is not his worth, you know?
yeah.
But I think that's like the big...
However necessary, and he may feel like it is. It's
Mhm.
not like the end all be all anymore. It's not his. Yeah, you said it really well.
Yeah. So I really thought that was really poignant and a really cool marker for Itadori's character. And that's what gave me the chills. It's just like, oh, are we at the end? How many chapters do we have left? I feel like we're pretty much at the end
Dude,
here.
we're fucking close, man. I can't handle this.
Yeah.
I'm just
No, like
I don't even want to get into that.
It's like Big Homie just learned his whole character arc came full circle. Oh boy. But yeah, this is exciting.
Nobara's definitely dead. I think
She's
this was
dead.
the first solid confirmation
Well, Gege himself has said that she's dead. She's not coming back.
in comic. I mean,
Oh yeah, in comic, yeah. No, everybody here is to be assumed to be dead forever.
they're all
But yeah, I mean, I am excited to see how exactly Yuji's domain works. Very excited. Unfortunately, we are 2 weeks away from that, so we'll just have to hold on for a second there. But very excited to see how this goes. That's all my thoughts, really. I really love this chapter. I thought it was a really poignant one. It really moved Itadori's character along. And I'm excited to see how this all resolves. Do we have any more thoughts before we go?
No, sir.
yeah, real quick.
Ooh.
Just and I look.
I thought Itadori was just turning into this killing machine. And I really appreciate that he's essentially stood the same. The reasons for why he felt the way, he always had that care for people. And his understanding of why he has that care only grew and got solidified through, all of the hardships he went through. And that's hope right there. That's a protagonist. That's a shonen protagonist right there.
You want me to tell you something real quick about like what defines Yuji's character? It's
Yes.
before the Shibuya arc. With that girl that had a crush on him since elementary school. And like she was like fat she was overweight and she felt herself to be like be unattractive and all that shit before, and then she years later she is like slimmer, she's prettier, quote unquote, and she's like, oh yeah, now I feel like I'm actually valuable. And she's like, Yuji probably wouldn't even recognize me, and he did. And it's just like, that's the kind of person he is. He just cares about the person. He doesn't care about anything else other than who they are. You know what I mean? That's just how his character is. And them doing that moment before the Shibuya arc, before like the series literally went rolling down a hill like a boulder, they just, with that, it was like a solidification of, yes, this is who he is. And this chapter kind of reminded us of that too, so I agree with Josh on that end. But yeah, those are my thoughts, my final thoughts.
All right, hell yeah. Well, with that, let's move onward. Kagurabachi. With that, I'm gonna toss this one over to Brian.
All right, hold on, let me pull it up real quick. The Viz app is very slow as per usual.
I know who Wanye Thomas is.
Wanye Thomas?
Football player.
No, I don't. Does that have to do with Kagurabachi?
No.
All right, so the chapter kicks off with Chihiro standing in front of Kiyora's body as the sword is like kind of right next to him, and all the people in the auction are kind of just like freaking out, and they're just like, oh my god, he's fucking dead, what the fuck happened, oh my god. And it looks like there's just a bunch of commotion. What happened here? Oh, Hiyuki.
Well, no, everything's breaking. Everything's being destroyed.
Yeah, everything's falling apart, and the Kamunabi guys are just they're just out. They don't give a fuck. They're just like, all right, let's get the fuck out of here. And I think Hiyuki is fucking up the people in the auction too. It looks like, right? Because he says that Hiyuki's on a rampage, so it looks like she's doing something.
Maybe.
So the place is collapsing, and Shiba's kind of like, "Oh fuck!" And people are like, "Oh shit! Look, it's the enchanted blade!" And they kind of start rushing towards Chihiro to like kind of get the Shinuchi. And Chihiro is for sure just like, he is worn out. He has done literally everything he could do, so there's no way he could fight back. And then Shiba teleports in with Hakuri on his back, and he grabs onto Chihiro, and he's like, "All right, let's get the fuck out of here." And just before he could be teleported out, Chihiro reaches for the Shinuchi. Wait, no, it like comes to him. It basically calls it to him right before he gets teleported away, and the the fucking auction guys are like, "Oh fuck, he's gone, and the enchanted blade too!" And then they just get fucking crushed by the debris falling from the roof. Greedy ass motherfuckers. Shiba and Hakuri appear outside of the auction, and he's just like, that was close." And then he looks to his right, and Chihiro is nowhere to be found. And he's just like, "Oh fuck, I was just holding him." And we cut to, I guess, inside the auction house.
Yeah, I think they're still in there.
Oh, I know what happened here. Okay, so yeah, and Hiyuki has her heels on the Shinuchi. And she's just like, "Oh, so it's safe to touch now, huh?" And she's like, "All right, I told you, I'm gonna take both of the fucking blades." And we see Tafuku sitting in the stands, so that means that Tafuku put them in their 1v1 tournament space. So that's how they're safe.
In his domain expansion.
Yeah, exactly. He basically put them in the domain expansion. And it looks like that Hiyuki actually kind of feels bad for taking it, in like somewhere deep down inside. Or she doesn't have the same vindication or the same vitriol for Chihiro as she did before the Rakuzachi. And then we cut to black as we return back to Shiba and Hakuri. And Shiba says, "I need to go back," and Hakuri says, "No, wait, look." As the auction house crumbles, an explosion of flames burst out from within, clearing an opening for Tafuku carrying Chihiro and Hiyuki to walk out. Chihiro's basically looks like a little kid on Tafuku's back, and he asks him to put him down. And he does. And Hiyuki says that she's going ahead. And Shiba sees that she's carrying the Shinuchi, and he's like, "Yo, wait, what the fuck is going on here?" And Hiyuki says that she made an offer and that Chihiro took it. And Shiba kind of looks over, trying to confirm whether that's true or not, and Chihiro confirms with a nod. Hakuri wonders what they talked about, and Chihiro answers in like a typical edgelord fashion. He's just like, "What happens next? That's what we talked about. What are you gonna do?" And Hiyuki, I mean, not Hiyuki. I keep mixing up those names. Hakuri thinks back to what Shiba said about what happened with his family, or the remaining family members. And one of them, I forget this guy's name, kind of wishes to be killed by Shiba, but Shiba spares him so that he could go take care of the younger members of the Sazanami family. And so basically, Hakuri still has family that's alive that, you know, he could possibly go back for. But he still feels like he can't go back home because he's an enemy of the Sazanami family now, because the Sazanami family was all about the Rakuzachi, and he went against it. And with Kiora gone too, the family would probably never really be the same. So he's kind of just like lost, essentially. Like everything that he knew about his life is officially kind of done, and he doesn't know what to do. And just as he's doubting, just as he's trying to, you know, figure out what's going on, he hears the voice of the little kid whose sister was stuck inside the storehouse. And Chihiro reminds him that he was the one who saved them. And he kind of thinks back to the girl who he made friends with while she was inside the storehouse a long time ago, and how she had no hope. And he kind of realizes that there is hope outside of that place. And he kind of looks over to Chihiro and he's just like, hey, let me keep fighting with you. I want to keep proving the value that you saw in me. And thinking to himself, he's thinking for over wait, is this him thinking? No, it's just there's a basic, the narrator kind of describes that the Rakuzachi, for over 2 centuries, countless lives were assigned prices and people's hopes were stolen. And finally, after all these years, the curtain finally fell for the Sazanami clan's Rakuzachi auction. And then as we see like a big 2-page spread of the auction house in ruins, then we see a flashback to what Hiyuki and Chihiro talked about. And Chihiro's kind of explaining that he didn't want anybody else to have the blades, but things have changed. He, after seeing what the Shinichi is capable of, he realizes that that's just too much power for him alone to even be able to like protect or to safeguard, you know. And he knows that he can't do it by himself, so but he also can't let it go free or be in the public. So he wants the Kamunabi. He basically describes that he wants the Kamunabi to take it. Well, actually, sorry. He doesn't have the ability to make the seal, but he doesn't want to give it to the Kabunabi because of what happened at the Rakuzaichi. Hishaku wanted the Kabunabi to have the blade in the first place, so he's a little apprehensive about giving the Shinichi over to them. But regardless of how he feels, Hiyuki still wants to take it to the Kabunabi in order to seal it, because they are the only people who can seal it. And even if the Hishaku wanted them to have it, they can figure out what to do now that they know that the Hishaku wanted them to have it. And Chihiro agrees, and he says that their objectives are basically the same. But he's not willing to just step away from the blades, and he wants to have a little bit more of a seat in the situation when it comes to the Kabunabi's protection of the blades. And he kind of wants to infiltrate them to kind of see more about why the blades are the way that they are. So in the final panel, he says that in order for him to give over the Shinichi, she has to let him join the Kamunabi. And that's the end of the chapter. Josh, what are your thoughts?
This is a nice little wrap up to the Shinuchi slash Sazanari Suzanari, I forget how to fuck it. Sazanami. No, there's a different name for it. The Rakuzauchi.
Yeah, the Rakuzachi.
This was nice. I did not see this coming. I did not see Chihiro wanting to join up with the
I
cops.
didn't see it either.
But I guess it makes sense. I mean, it does. We talked a little bit about this before, I remember, and I was thinking about how like they can't really trust the Kamunabi, but the only reason we think that is because that sorcerer said that they intend for that to be the case. Like they want the Kamunabi. So I guess it implies that there's some corruption in it. But it makes sense for Chihiro to join them because he can't hold them swords down. He definitely can't use that Shinuchi, and someone's gonna, eventually someone's gonna run up on him, take that shit. So I think this makes the most sense. He can monitor the Kamunabi and not have to worry about this chick stealing all the swords. She's a bastard, you know that? She popped up right at there and said, "Told you I would take these swords." Like, you can't give me a day to take a nap so we can have a proper fight. I don't like her attitude. I don't, but she's thorough. I'm actually joking. She's really dope. She said that's what she was gonna do, and she didn't get swayed because her and Chihiro shared a fight. She said, "Fuck out of here, give me them shits." But they both came to a logical conclusion, which is they don't want the swords to be in the hands of bad people, so don't work together. It's cool, and I'm pretty sure, like, I don't know how you guys feel, but it's nice to know that this guy's domain expansion won't be used against them anymore. That'll be for like cool, now they'll be able to work with him like that. Hakuri's gonna join the crew. He's that nigga. I'll never forget that. Chris, what were your thoughts?
Oh man, this is I really like how this ended. I think it was a very smart move on what's the creator's name? I should know him by now, but on Hokazono's part to
The goat.
to constantly ask throughout this chapter, like, what's next? Because I feel like that he wrote it in a way that really entices the future for his series. Where he's like, it's not done yet. There's more to come, and there's more exciting ideas I have. So what's next? That's one thing. I really like how they set up the next arc here, and we have some direction now. Because now with the promise of the Kamunabi being a bigger part of the story, we get a bigger supporting cast. We get more people for Chihiro to interact with. We get more storylines coming out of that. I thought it was a really smart plot point to do, and it was really cool to establish his connection with Hiyuki beforehand, so he could have an in, so to speak. I'm really excited to see how Hakuri turns out, because he has such a fucking crazy power. So it'd be interesting to see how that affects the story in any way.
Maybe he ends up building a storehouse that harbors hope instead of stealing it.
I hope so. That'd be nice.
Yo, wait, what if he becomes like a walking base for Chihiro? Like,
I mean, it's possible.
Yeah.
They all just hop into the storehouse inside his brain.
Like move.
Yeah.
Like the Uma move.
Yeah, that'd be so
He's
fucking
like
sick.
He's like Capone Big from One Piece.
Yeah, exactly.
He is his own little
exactly what I was
fortress.
thinking.
But yeah, I thought this was really smartly written, and I like where this series is going. I think it was very in line and practical of Chihiro to consider the alliance with the Kamunabi, because between them and the people who literally killed his dad, this is a better alliance. And he knows he can't take all these Hishaku guys by himself, so it'll be good. Build up some more potentially one-on-one fights between different sorcerers, showing off their cool abilities.
Oh, that's all a man can ask for.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm really excited. I thought this was a really well written series, or well written chapter rather, and it is a well written series. But yeah, everything here is just so well written, and I'm glad that it's finding its footing and it's safe. I feel like Jump wouldn't dare cancel Kagurabachi at this point, so I think we're in the safe zone here.
Yeah, it's been making waves since before it even came out. So
yeah, it's just been weird in the polls for some reason, but I feel like it's going to find its footing, and it's going to survive. So yeah, I mean, excited for more Kagurabachi, but that's all I really got to say. I thought this was really cool overall. Nice clean ending to the
Will
arc.
this be a forever series?
yes.
Who's to say? Who is to say? But are we ready to move on?
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's go.
We call that easy money, GG.
Undead Unluck. And with that, I'm gonna pass this one over to Josh.
Chowoosh.
Okay. Undead Unluck, chapter number 217. Touch on now. What? I didn't read that title before. I don't care for that. Anyway,
I don't care for it.
we're in the Tatiana arc. And her negation ability has just activated in the middle of a modeling show. Have no fear, guys. Fuko and the crew is there to negate her tragedy. And we'll get into it. We have Unchange, Billy copying Unchange, and Chikari using Unmove to withhold the entire untouchable expansion radius. Very unnerving. Anyway,
That was a good one. That was really
yeah,
good.
thanks. Yeah, thank you. Thanks for the validation. I needed
good
that. All right.
Yeah,
so,
good job. Good job. Yeah. Good. Go work.
Tatiana is very surprised as she starts to remember, oh yeah, Fuko was saying something was gonna happen. Oh, this is what you was talking about. And she's like, what do you expect me to do? I'm just a normal model. Today was supposed to be my dream performance. And Fugo's like, relax, we got you. Okay. But it looks like they don't really got her, because like the more nervous she gets and more anxious she gets, the more out of control her ability becomes. So everyone's struggling. And Fuku's like, yo, Sean, let go of me. And he's like, what you mean? Because Sean is helping Fuko stay invisible so that they don't get affected by Chikara's unmove. But Fuko's telling Sean to bounce, and he's like, yo, like, you're gonna get crushed by the force, like, because you're gonna get like caught up by unmove, so you're gonna get sandwiched between unmove and untouchable. And Fuko's like, I got this, don't stress it. So she tells Gina to apply Unchained to the blind spot. Actually Sean says that, and she's like, I'm already on top of this. And if Fuko, decides to use her talk no jutsu with Tatiana, says, look,
I am Fuko Izumo, the negator called Unluck. I summon strokes of bad luck upon anyone I touch. Just like you, my ability restricted me from touching others, but the two of us did our best to keep on living because we met important people who accepted us for who we are. There goes your Billy validation, Brian. Eat it up.
No more Billy.
Uh,
already.
is.
so basically, Fuko is trying to like prove to Tatiana that that she is strong and she's capable of like overcoming this, and that she's so confident in Tatiana that she's willing to like put her life on the line to prove that. And in a way, like Fuko said, there was an easier way to avoid this situation, but um she wanted to do this for a specific reason, and that she says she wanted her to fulfill her dreams just the way as she was, and that's her own way of repaying her as her best friend, which I thought was really nice. So a little bit of context on that situation, which I kind of skipped over, but Sean mentions at the beginning of the chapter that like shouldn't we just use remember on Tatiana, like to avoid this whole situation since she knows how to control her abilities a little bit better than now, and she'll be able to handle it. And this is why Fuko did not decide to go that route, because she wanted to again give Tatiana that chance to live out her dream and also take control of the situation with the support of friends around her, because when this happened in the previous loop, she was all alone when this happened, essentially, because anybody else that would have cared about her that was close enough was flattened like a pancake. So Fuko to the extreme cares about her friends yet again, and it's very emotional and nice. um right after she talks to Tatiana, her ability starts to cool down a little bit, and right as it calms down, they unleash the spear. They deploy the spear. It goes around Tatiana and locks down her ability, saving everybody in the venue. And Fuko's trying to explain, listen, don't worry about all of this shit right now. Just believe in me, strike a pose, your clothes will be fine. And when the dust all clears, the orb, the spear that was deployed morphed like into a basically turned into a hologram of Tatiana with clothes on and a very beautiful dress. Everyone's happy. Tatiana, after the show, Tatiana's walking through the hallway, and it's funny because she bumps into two people with the spear that was deployed. And I thought there was no real significance to it. I just thought it was fucking hilarious because nobody could see it. Tatiana's like, damn, what am I going to do now? And then everyone pulls up to her. Like, yo, you did such a great job. Like, I'm glad you're happy. And then Chikara's like, yo, I took the best picture of you. Come take a look at it. They're all laughing. And that's the end of the chapter. Ooh, Brian, what are your thoughts?
Well, this is a nice chapter. It was nice, and it is really nice to see that. Wait, is the spear is kind of like a hologram?
The one that was deployed.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
the
the
spear is a
deployed
hologram
sphere.
now, so it's kind of like an illusion that she's wearing clothes.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is much better than her being like actually naked. So that's a big plus, I'd say. Good job, everyone involved here. Great work. I think this is a cool little solution to the problem, even though she can't actually, I guess, wear clothes. They make it seem like she wears clothes. So I think that's cool. Now she can wear like whatever she wants, right? At all times. So
Yeah.
that's
Yeah. And we could read Undead Unluck safely on the train, probably.
Yep.
Probably.
Yep.
Except for when Andy comes back.
Yeah. This was a pretty cool solution to the problem. It's still I still feel like it's a little like half baked, the like new relationship that Fuko has with Tatiana. But you know, still good, still pretty good, still like a fun little solution here. I'm glad that Nico added a little bit of care to the situation and made it so that it's not just function, it's also form. But yeah, it was nice to see Fuko being Fuko, changing hearts, saving lives out here, doing her thing. But yeah, I don't have much else to say about Undead Unluck this week. It was a nice little bow on top of Tatiana's story here. I just don't know what exactly caused her negation to come out. Maybe they'll talk about it next chapter.
Yeah, I don't know either. But
I'm hoping.
Yeah. That one notwithstanding, I also like this chapter. I thought it was a cool little solution there. I'm hoping that she's just able to wear clothes throughout the series. But unfortunately,
like she can wear clothes.
But unfortunately, for some reason, they decided to impose a time limit on how long the hologram can last.
Oh,
and I'm just like, man, we would not care if it lasted forever.
When did that happen?
It says, when they say the hologram activated, offset coordinate offset 0.00001 millimeters, 30 minutes remaining.
Yeah.
That's
wow.
Make it stop.
So when you said probably, you wasn't even thinking about Andy. You was thinking about that 30 minutes.
Well, I was also thinking about Andy.
Yo.
But that's neither here nor there. Yeah,
Shikuma, what's your problem?
Yeah, I mean, for an arc that I wasn't super invested in, I did enjoy the resolution of it. I thought it was smart. It's a good way to get the sphere deployed and involved, and also give it a new feature that allows Tatiana to not be naked, which is nice. Yeah, I'm excited. Now this little girl is enlisted in a war against God.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yeah.
Get him, little girl.
Accurate.
So
And now Andy's next. Let's go.
Yeah. Tatiana's the last person, so now Andy's next, and that's exciting because we love Andy.
We do love Andy.
And he's like a beast at this point. He's like soloing like 4 of these dudes on his own.
Yeah, he's literally so fucking OP.
So I'm excited for that. But those are all my thoughts on Undead Unluck. Do we have anything else to add?
No, sir.
Then let's bring this one home, boys. That has been our show. Thank you so much for listening. As per usual, this one was a long one, but we had to bid farewell to a favorite, My Hero Academia, long-standing veteran of the New Jump City podcast. We salute you. But yeah, thanks for sticking around for so long for the show. I hope you guys enjoyed it. You can find me at the Chris Aspinall on Twitter and Instagram. Josh is at JDCole_37 on Instagram, at New Jump City Josh on Twitter and TikTok. Brian is at B.ESP on Instagram. He said he deleted Twitter, I guess, so just Instagram. Email, no.
Honestly, I recommend everybody here to uninstall Twitter as well.
X.
Yeah, whatever people want to call it these days.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we could all use less social media in our lives.
True.
But not for this show. Follow us.
Yeah, follow us and then uninstall.
Yeah.
Twitter.
Follow us at New Jump City on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Email us to newjumpcitypod@gmail.com. with any questions, suggestions, anything you guys want us to talk about, and we'll talk about it on the pre-show chat show that we do. Subscribe to us, like, share the podcast, do all the things for the podcast. If you like the podcast, you should be subscribed to the podcast. We are literally everywhere, including Castbox, which means we've made it.
Castbox.
We are on
Castbox. Yes.
So subscribe to us, like, share, all that stuff. And that's it. It's been long enough. Thank you guys so much for listening. Stay safe, New Jump citizens.
Bye.
Peace out.
There was a moment in My Hero Academia. The kid said, I want to be in the hospital. And the other guy was like, oh, I want to be in media. And the other person was like, I want to do another regular ass job too. And I guess like people just weren't doing those regular jobs before. Now that Midoriya saved the world, people want to be doctors and stuff now. Peace out, guys.
Bye.
Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, like, they're hero work, except for the doctor, I guess. But Gentle Criminals thing is a cyber security thing.
There wasn't cybersecurity before? Woo!
No. Not before.
There
these
wasn't
guys.
broadcasted?
No,
We're going to
cyber-
chop it up about
I
My
can't
Hero
believe you just
Academia
brought
on
this up
another
right
show.
now. All right, bye,
I had
everyone.
a lot of thoughts.
Bye.
I can't believe it.
I'm sorry, I had to